And our seventh pitch for the night is RescoIO.
Hello everyone. RescoIO is a software application with the mission of making sustainability possible. Everything started back in 2001. I was working in the Kiribati Islands. We had to electrify all the other islands with 2,000 solar home systems. I made every effort that was possible to make sure that the batteries were going to be properly recycled. 8 years later, I don't know to what extent they follow the procedures, or they dump the battery into the environment, they pour the acid into the ground in order to retrieve the lead for the fishing rods. This is what they usually do. Don't blame them. I would say we have to blame an economic system that takes, makes, uses, disposes, and pollutes. The alternative is a circular economy that makes, uses, reuses, remakes, and recycles. Or even better, a spiral economy, which, like nature, what it does is to improve what it recycles. So that's our vision, and that's the team. We started programming the software back in January. Jordi is the wizard that is transforming the vision into code, and Al and myself, we're finding opportunities and key partners. This is back in July in Jakarta. We were advising government officials and development partners in the private sector on a strategy to try to avoid the situation in which all these systems that they've installed in the last 10 years, they only last an average of 2 years, and they are mostly disposed on the environment. The main cause, well, I would say, or potential solution that we're trying to bring here is a software that can optimize the use, reuse, remaking, and recycling of the renewable energy equipment. And what we've learned from the InnovationACT? Well, this was our idea when we came to InnovationACT in August. Our value proposition was to create that software. And we've learned that we could expand the value proposition and that we were too ambitious with our minimum viable product. So what we did is expand the value proposition to say that RescoIO is an open source tool that creates internet platforms and web apps that can, without having to code and able to work offline, optimize the use, the recycling, the remaking, and the reuse of any manufacturing product. About the competition, well, there are other competitors that are creating platforms that are able to create web apps and platforms without code, yes. And some of them are even able to work offline, but none of them is open source, none of them is designed to optimize the use, reuse, remaking, and recycling, and very especially none of them is a non-profit. Another important thing was about the minimum viable product. The moment that we expanded the value proposition and we decided to have a shorter minimum viable product, we got our first customer. It is a library of things in Barcelona. That's interesting because a library of things tries to optimize usage by sharing things. They will use RescoIO for 2 libraries of things, and they will be launched in January. And here in Australia, we have 3 or 4 libraries of things and another 2 in the making. So next year, we plan to start offering the same tool that we are giving to Barcelona in the different libraries of things in Australia. And then the following year, in 2021, we're going to start implementing RescoIO in all the development projects in which Alejandro and myself will work as development practitioners in order to electrify 1 million people that currently have no electricity. Help electrify. So what we're asking for $4,500. Very especially, we need money for the legal assistance in order to get ATO endorsements as a deductible gift recipients and DFAT as well approvals, in order to be able to send all this funding overseas to help electrify those communities. And then we need $3,500, which is the cost to implement RescoIO in the Library of Things in Canberra. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I think it's really interesting about trying to insert circular economy principles into development projects, but I'm concerned about your business model. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about how you intend to generate income?
Yes. Well, we are going to monetize through hosting, regular access to updates as well to those that are using have installed the open source but in their own hosting, through consultancy for implementation, which is what we are already doing. We are already working as consultants in projects of different donors like the World Bank or UNDP, etc. And then what we want to really do is create a marketplace in which there will be every transaction or every exchange that takes place through the network, there will be a commission for RescoIO. This is talking about product distribution, service outsourcing, like for example, outsourcing logistics, etc. Extra features through extensions and plugins, and then microservices like algorithms for optimizing the performance of the equipment, or like blockchain certifications.
So just following off that question, so I work for a fairly large not-for-profit in my spare time, and raising money through sponsorships and donations is very, very difficult. So how do you propose to use your DGR status to actually get funding and support?
Well, I'll give you an example. For example, I'm going to be working in a World Bank project. This is next year for the next 18 months. It's a 19 million project. There is a team, and they need to implement a software that it's going to, let's say, assist in the maintenance of 55 mini grids. Yeah? So I know that they are going to need the software as we are developing. So as a consultant, I work there, I assist, I suggest, let's use this software. I can do this because it's a non-profit and because it's open source. If it was a for-profit and it was profit-free, I cannot just go being one of the consultants in a World Bank project, for example, and say, use my software, and because it's a limited company by shares that I own, it will not be possible. So really, it's not going to be necessary to get funding. There will be, of course, the option as a corporate social responsibility thing for corporations and individuals and foundations to be funding, and we can transfer it to finance the equipment. It's not even to finance RescoIO, it will finance the equipment of the people, and if we are tax deductible, then they can deduct those taxes. But to finance Resco, we don't need that funding. What we need is just to continue creating the projects in which I've been working for the last 18 years, implementing the software. Another project, the one in Indonesia, as well, they require the software. So it's just a matter of getting these projects as a consultant and keep on implementing it.
Thank you. Big problem to focus on, and I think the no-code, low-code platforms are the future. So some of those that you described there, like the Bubble and NAC, they are generic. So how will yours be different to assist specifically solving this problem, or are you building a generic platform that can be used for anything?
It's designed for trustability and for the management of the financial and the technical monitoring of equipment, of devices, of things, of physical things. This is the way it's been designed. It's not designed for anything else. So we are designing that no-code development platform that should allow to manage any object, any physical object, so that we can make sure that it's properly used, it's properly is reused, is remade, and is properly recycled at the end of the effective life.
And have you explored the possibility to do a commercial model?
Well, the idea is that Resco then is going to invest in for-profits as well, but they will be owned by the non-profit. I don't want the other way around. I don't want the for-profits to own the non-profit. I want the non-profit to own the for-profits, and then they will like search for different potentials. Like, for example, we have for the Library of Things, I have the domain Bubusi, which is a Kiribati word. When you need something, you Bubus it, you ask for it. This is like a Library of Things. That could be a for-profit.